So at this point, I'm removing the whole inner pinion gear with the front pinion. And I tried everything to get this nut to move, and it just won't move at all. And this is the size breaker bar that I have. This is the biggest one they had available at the store. And I even put this pipe on it. So it just won't come out at all. But I don't really have to remove that, because it looks like the whole thing is just coming out. I just tapped it a little bit with a piece of wood on the gear, and it came out a little bit. Then I got the pry bar in there. It looks like it's coming out. And well, yeah, I'm happy I don't have to remove that. So I'm just going to leave that alone. But I guess when it comes to these big trucks, there's a limit to as what you can do with regular or even heavy-duty automotive tools. Ideally, to work on these trucks, you need one of these things. This is a big air ratchet, an air impact gun. As you can see, it's got a massive 1-inch drive. But unfortunately, it's got these splines in the end, and I think there's an adapter that converts this to square ends so that I could use my sockets. But unfortunately, I don't have those, or maybe it's just different kind of sockets altogether. But you need a really good supply of air too. I could use it, but again, unfortunately, I don't have this adapter piece here. Yeah, I got it for $40 at the junkyard. So I don't know if they have these ones in electric, like that size, maybe 1-inch electric impact. I mean, everything that exists nowadays, I bet you they do. So it's coming out, but it's coming out in stages. So first I started off with the pry bar, then I was going to use these, but I had to skip straight to this mallet here. I'm using it as a wedge, like that. And then I'm using the other sledgehammer to tap on it, and I'm using a piece of rubber around it like that to prevent damage to the housing here. But what I think I'm going to have to do now, it's bottomed out, so I'm going to have to put, either a block of wood or use a spacer. Or another option would be to put bolts in through here, a nut on the other side, and thread it in that way, and then a little plate to block it, so that as you tighten the bolt, it pushes on the plate here and backs this thing out. So that might be an option, but a little bit more work. It seems to be coming out fine this way, so we'll keep doing it this way. Alright, so as you can see, I finally removed the pinion. And I did end up using these bolts. They're 1/2-inch 13s. And unfortunately, I didn't get that on video, but I had these plates here as spacers. And you can get these at Home Depot or just anything else you can use as a spacer like that. And I was using the wrench here to hold the nut, while I use the socket here to spin the nut. And as you can see, the more you tighten the bolt, the more it sticks out, as you can see. And that pushes on the housing here. Well, in this case, on this plate here, and then on the housing. And it pushes this whole thing out. So do the bottom and then the top, and you alternate between top and bottom. And you could also use the sides. But if you just do one side, it'll tilt it and then it'll squash it in there. When it's tilted, it'll come, like, it'll get it at an angle. You got to make sure it comes out straight, because it won't come out at an angle. So that's how you do it, and that's what the differential looks like inside. Now, okay, one very important thing here. As you can see, there's this hole here, and it goes out through the top. As you can see, I put my finger right through it, and then it comes out to this here as well. And what this does is, as the gears are spinning, it's splashing oil here, and it's actually going into that hole there to lubricate the bearings inside here. So you got to make sure that this hole aligns there. But as you can see, the holes for the bolts are off center. They're at different distances, so you can't really mess this up. You can't mess it up. There's just one way that this will go in. But yeah, just worth mentioning that. And fortunately, the differential is in good shape. The other reason why I'm doing this, why I removed this, and again, we ended up not removing the nut here. I'll just leave it like that. Be very careful though. This thing is very heavy, and you got your legs under here like I have. It falls on you. It hurts a little. Now I'm thinking that at this point I can determine the gear ratio from the pinion count here, because now from what I can see, you can't put a bigger gear inside here, but you could put a smaller, same size crown. This is called a crown gear, with more teeth, so smaller spacing, and that would require more RPM, so it would turn at a lower ratio, or would be a bigger ratio. That would give more torque to the wheels, because there's only that much space between the walls, so I don't think you can go any bigger. It's not to do with the size, it's more to do with the teeth count. So now that I have this, I can determine the gear ratio. But the other thing that I could do, I don't know if they'll ask me to do it, the parts, place where I'm buying the parts, is I could count the teeth on the crown. And the way I'd have to do that is I'd have to mark this here and remove the axles or lift the whole truck up so that I can spin this around. But at least I'm glad that everything looks good on the differential. I don't have to replace it. But since I had to replace the PDL parts, I'm pretty sure they just sell the whole differential. So I might actually I'm considering getting both differentials and actually possibly change to a different gear ratio, because it's only a couple $100 to get the other differential as well, the rear differential. They usually come in sets, because obviously you got to have the same ratio here as in the back. You can't have your wheels turning at different speeds when you're going straight. So I'm definitely going to get the set. But yeah, hopefully this helps out here. I'll try to get some. I wonder, do we have a part number on this here? Okay, this is interesting. So we have? Mosquitoes, man. Right. I'm glad I removed this, and this, like, as you can see, the whole pinion, that inner gear come out in one piece. There are a few bearings, and there's a lot of junk everywhere, unfortunately. Really impossible to get these things out clean, but most of it is just wood chips, which is okay. But I'll clean this out really good, really well before we're installing it. Now, unfortunately, I don't see any markings on the gear here itself, except for in the back there it says 0. Get this to zoom in there, 0, and then same over here. So 0, 0. Hopefully that's the gear ratio. That tells me the gear ratio. Like I said, I will consider going to a different gear ratio, but if possible, if I can keep the same gear ratio, then my job will be easier because I don't have to replace the differentials, just the PDL part, and then I have basically a set of spare differentials, front and rear. Whereas if I get a new ratio, I only get a different ratio for more torque. But if I get a new ratio, then I've got 2 different sets of differentials. But I think the PDL part interchanges, so it's not that bad. But 2 sets of differentials of the same differential, that's it's a bit of overkill, but it's better. The pinion gear itself is integral with this shaft here. As you can see, it's not a shaft that goes through it. It's just one piece that goes all the way through to the nut. And the roller bearings there. Okay, so here are the part numbers. And then at the end, they put these dents on the shaft so that it doesn't come off. The bearing doesn't come off the shaft. They also have this ring here. And on the other side as well. So if you were to replace the bearing, you can only replace. It'd be hard to get it out. Guess they don't want the bearing spinning inside. Anyways, it's a link belt. And part number is, must be the part number there, M130. M138T. Made in USA. Okay, there's another part number down there, and it says MU1308W103 DQ, and then I don't know what that means. EQ over here, and then somebody made these markings here by hand, so that's an 8. It looks like a T over there, and then over here it's 2935. Got no idea what these markings mean. But there it is. Hopefully we can find out. And okay, let's see how many teeth we have. Right, I just made a mark and I counted. I have 9 teeth on the pinion. And here are a few measurements. So the shaft itself over there is actually 2.16, let's say 2.165 inches. So obviously 2.165 inches is also going to be the inner diameter of the bearing, and the outer diameter of the bearing is 3.544 or 43, sorry. But if we round that up a little bit, then that gives us 3.550. That's the OD, and then again, and then the ID is, the inner diameter is 2.165, as you can see. And finally, the length of the pinion is 3.25 inches, I think. Just about 3 inches.